Get started. So, how do we deal with insurance companies, right? And so, if you're a smaller shop and you're getting insurance claims, probably what's happening is you're getting a copy of the estimate, right? And you're saying, "Man, this estimate, the vehicle needs more work, so I'm going to put a supplement in, right?" And so you call and you say, "Hey, I want to put a supplement in for this amount." Maybe they come out, and when they come out, they basically show up to your place and they say, "Hey, I'm here to do the supplement. Which vehicle is it, or where's it at?" Right? You go over to the vehicle and you're like, "Yeah, this is the vehicle." They say, "Let me look at it. Let me take some photos, and then I'll work on it for you." Right? They take the photos. They end up taking off, and they send you the estimate the next day, and it's either going to be through email or something, right? And so a lot of times you'll get the supplement back, and it's not going to be exactly what you needed, right? And so you're like, "Dang, they didn't even put half of the stuff that was on there," right? So one of the things that we've done, repair mapping, right? And so basically what we did was we marked all the areas that need to get repaired. Okay. And so basically we put, okay, the dent where the dent's at, and then we put how far we need to go with the dent, what we have to remove. And we just kind of showed, everything that needs to be done, everything that needs to be done on this vehicle, right? And so what it's doing is we're putting everything, like we're actually kind of breaking down what needs to be done on this vehicle and map out the vehicle on what needs to be done on it. Okay. And what this does, it gives them a visual of what needs to be done on the vehicle. For example, we will mark where the dent's at, and then we mark how far we need to go with the bodywork, and then where we need a primer at. And so that way, we're getting paid what needs to be done on the vehicle. We're breaking it down, and we're mapping out the vehicle. We're mapping out the repair. So, for example, if there's wherever the dent's at, for example, if you have a dent that's maybe 4 inches big, right? Okay, by the time you get into that, you're gonna be way wider out on your feather edging, on your primering, on your blocking. So you need to make sure you map all that stuff out. That way, uh, I don't know what this is. That way, they can actually see what needs to be done on it. Okay. And so also another thing we do is like whenever we kind of prepare for it, right? So for example, if we know that we're gonna have a supplement on a vehicle, what we'll do is we'll schedule a time for them to come out, and we make sure that we have our folder ready with all our notes of what we need. So what we're doing is we're recommending what needs to be done for them. And so we're not in a negotiation with them to try to get paid or anything like that. We're saying, "Hey, these are some of the things that need to get fixed, and this is what we're recommending needs to get done so that the vehicle is restored back." Okay. And there's going to be a lot of times when you're going to have to get documentation for certain things. Okay. So for example, if let's say for example on this vehicle, right? Let's just say if the door skin was hit pretty hard and it hit the inner support, we would have to get some supporting documentation saying that the door needs to be replaced. So you would have to go to the P pages, or you'll have to get some kind of documentation stating that it's damaged, right? If you know for sure that the inner structure was hit, you can actually cut this out with the air chisel to show them where it was hit, to make sure you get that time for it. Okay. And so the thing that you don't want to do is you don't want to get into an arguing match with them. You don't want to get into an argument match going back and forth and saying, "Hey, this one needs to be done." And they're like, "No, this is what I think needs to be done." You want to make sure that you have your documentation, you mark everything out that's damaged and that needs to be replaced, and that you have invoice, and that you have proof of whatever needs to get repaired, right? For example, we had to replace a wheel, and the wheel was bent, but the insurance wanted us to fix the wheel, right? So what we had to do was we had to go to the wheel repair place. We had to get something in writing from them saying the wheel is not repairable. And so we use that documentation to get the wheel replaced. So it's gonna be about having your documentation in order and making sure you're not rushing through the process when they come. You don't want to you don't want them to come and then you're busy and you're kind of rushing through it. You want to make sure you take your time and you write your supplement out. The proper way to do this is you would want to write the proper way to do this is you're going to want to write, okay, once you get the insurance estimate back, you want to mirror that estimate into your system. So you're either going to be using CCC1 or Mitchell, but you want to mirror that estimate. And when I say mirror, what I'm saying is like you want to copy that estimate. You want to copy it line for line into your system, right? Once you copy it into your system, you want to lock it. So that way, if you make any changes, you can see the changes that you made. So step one is going to be to mirror the estimate into your repair center, mirror the estimate into your estimating system. Okay. That's going to be step one. Once you mirror it dollar for dollar, for example, you know how if you write an estimate for your place, it probably says the name of your repair center on top, right? So you want to get the State Farm estimate, the Progressive estimate, the Geico, whatever, and you want to copy it to where it has your letterhead on it. It's like your estimate, okay? Word for like line for line, dollar amount, okay? Once you get that to where it needs to be, you lock it. You lock it to where you can't make any more changes to that original estimate, right? Then you open a supplement. So whenever you open a supplement in CC1, it's going to say S1. So now everything, all the additional damage is going to be added under sub one. Okay. It's just the same as like whenever you get a supplement back from the insurance company, you can actually see what they added on there. So you need to do your own supplement with your estimating system. That way, when they come, you know exactly what you need to get for it. Okay. You know exactly what you're going after, because a lot of times what happens is um you get into almost like a disagreement with the adjuster, the appraiser, whoever comes out, and you miss a lot of things because you miss like clips, you miss some R&I time, you miss cleanup time, you miss a lot of little item lines that you should have gotten paid on. Okay. And so another thing too, so step one is going to be to mirror the estimate into yours. Once you lock it, okay, then you do a supplement. Okay. So it's going to be S1. You repair map everything, you take photos of it. So now you have the estimate of what needs to be added to it. Then you have the photos supporting documents. Okay. And if you need to go a step further, you need to get credible documentation. So credible documentation is going to be something like the P pages or something like something stating that, for example, like on a distance sensor, right? Or a distance sensor or any kind of radar detector sensor or something, it's going to state on there that if there's any kind of impact or damage to it, it must be replaced. Okay. And so that's a supporting document. That's a credible documentation, because you're going to give that to them and says, hey, this thing was hit on the front end. There's damage on the sensor. This is documentation saying if that thing has any kind of hit on it, it needs to be replaced. And so you give them that. Also, you want to say, hey, it's also going to need to be calibrated. You want to make sure you add the calibration on there. You want to make sure you're adding a transport fee, maybe even a tow fee, because look, if you're having to drive that car to get calibrated, you're probably driving it without a sensor, or you're probably driving it without a program sensor. So now that's also a liability. So you need to prepare for that. Say, hey, you know what? I'm not about to drive this car around across town to get calibrated. I'd rather just have it towed. Okay. And then put whatever your tow bill is. If it's 150, put it for 150, even though they're charging you 75. Like, you have to make a markup on that. Okay. You want to make sure you have those item lines in there, because you are doing the work of having to go back and forth on this. If it's something that's really complicated and taking a lot of your time, you can also charge them for a research fee. And the research fee is like saying, hey, you know what? Like this vehicle was it was pretty bad. So it took me about 2 or 3 hours just researching what what repair we need to do on this, whether it be calibration, whether it be steering links, whether it be certain kind of pools, whether it be like airbags, any kind of reprogramming stuff, like all that. It requires research fee. Okay, for example, on a vehicle that we did, they wanted us to go get the vehicle diagnosed. They wanted us to have a report. They wanted us to have all this documentation in order for them to approve it. So we did all that, and we charged them for the research fee. Okay, there's a research fee that you need to look out for. So just think of it like this. So everything that you're doing on the vehicle, you need to make a note of it so that you can get paid on it. Okay. Uh, does anybody have any more? Does anybody have any questions on that? On that part of it?